Hey guys, hi, it's Editor Ebenezer again from Samani Enterprise Tutors. Today I'm going to be taking you a tutorial on how to create RAM objects from JSON files. Alright, so how awesome would that be for you to have the ability to create a RAM object or a JSON file? Now the advantage of this is that you can use these JSON files and move your database from one application to another. Okay, so in order for us to get that, I'm going to be moving you through, and then we're going to be using Android Studio for this. So I've already created a new project. So for you to create a new project, you just come to File, New Project. Okay, where you can set some attributes of your application, such as your application name. You can choose from what SDK do you want to support. For this application, I'll be supporting from KiCad and above. Then you choose an empty activity, then you can select your activity name and then click the finish button. Okay, now that being said, the next thing we want to do is to show you the dependencies which we are going to be using in this application. Okay, now first of all, we are going to be using Butterknife for beta injection, and the next thing we're going to be using is RAM adapters. Okay, so we're going to be using the RAM inbuilt recycler view, not the default recycler view now. Okay, and then we're going to be using Lombok. Now Lombok plugin makes it easier for us to create our getter and setter method. Okay, so you see that alongside the tutorial. And then the next thing we are going to be using is Picasso. All right, so this application we're going to be building a list, okay, of fruit items. So the application is going to have the image of the fruit, the price of the fruit, and then the name of the fruit. So the image, the price, and the name of the fruit. Okay, so in doing that, we're going to be using a JSON file where we're going to have the name of the fruit, the price, and then the URL to the image. Okay, so essentially we're going to be needing Picasso to load that up, and then we're going to be using RAM. Now in order for you to inject RAM, you come to your application Gradle file, and then you put this class part. Okay, I'm going to have this on the tutorial. Okay, put this class part, then in your app Gradle file you're going to have to put this apply plugin RAM Android. All right, now that being said, the next thing we want to do is we want to deal with inserting our recycler view into our activity main XML file. Now we'll just add a recycler view here. Okay, and give it a width of match parent, height of match parent, and then give it an ID of, let's say, fruit rec view. Okay, fruit rec view. Now the next thing we want to do after that is we want to create how each fruit item will look. Okay, so in order for us to do that, we have to create a new resource file. Okay, we're going to come here, click on next, click on layout file. Okay, so we're going to call this single fruit row. I'm going to be changing this from a constraint layout to a relative layout. Okay, firstly an image view, so wrap content. I'm going to give it an ID of fruit fruit underscore img. Okay, and then the SRC, we're just going to use a default drawable from the Android resource. Okay, sorry, give it a little margin to the left so it doesn't look too close. Okay, now this XML file that we are creating is what is going to help, is what each row would look like. Okay, so we'll give it a text of, say, fruit name. Okay, text size of 16 XP. Okay, so to the right of our fruit image, so you can see how it will look here. Let me zoom that in. Okay, fruit image, give it a padding on the left also of 5 dp. margin top so that it comes a little bit to the middle of the image. All right, and then lastly it's going to need an ID of fruit underscore name. So I'll just reformat my code there. Okay, good. Copy this also. So I'll just change the ID. This should be the fruit price. Okay, so I'll change this to fruit price. Give this an SP size of 15, and then I'll have to make it below the fruit name, so it appears below the fruit name. Alright, something like this. But the margin, I'm going to be reducing the margin top to 5 dp. Alright, now this is how each row of the fruit item will look like. Okay, now with that being done, the next thing we want to do is to create our JSON file. Okay, so we want to create our JSON file. So in order for you to create your JSON file, we're going to be putting it in an Android resource folder called raw. Okay, so in order for you to create that folder, you come to your res IRES, which stands for resources. Click on new Android repository director. Resource type would be raw, directory name would be raw, and then we'll click on OK. So here, right here, click on new file, and then we'll call this fruits.json. So this is what we hold our JSON file. All right, now before that, one other thing is for us to create our model class. Okay, all right, I'll just pause the video now and then copy and paste the fruits JSON. So guys, this is our fruit JSON file. Okay, so this represents an array, square bracket, and then this has 6 objects. Okay, so we're going to have 6 objects, okay, in our RAM, 6 array objects in our RAM database, or 6 objects in our RAM database. Okay, now these all have name, price, and image. Okay, name, price, and image. So the next thing we want to do is to create the accurate model file for this that will be able to take this when we want to display it on our recycler view. So we create a new package. You right click on package, and then I'll just call this model. Right click, new Java class file, and then I'll call this fruits. Alright, now your model must extend a RAM object. Okay, so extend RAM object, and then we just have 3 strings. So name, string image, string price. Right, now where Lombok comes in is the ability for us to just do this. So in order for us to get our getter and setter method, we can just do this. Okay, and then now what this means is automatically these 3 have both getter and setter method. So it is unlike how we did it before, or the normal way we're used to, where we create getters and setters method by clicking on Alt Insert and then generate getter and setter. Then you have to select once you just use the Lombok plugin, you can do this, and automatically they all have, every field has getter and setter method. Now we have our JSON, we have our model class, we have our single row view, we have our recycler view inserted into our main activity.xml file. Now the next thing we have to do is to create an appropriate adapter for the recycler view. Okay, so you right click, create another package, and call this adapters, and then you right click, create a new Java class file, and call it fruit adapter. Okay, now for our fruit adapter would need, since we are using we are using the rem recycler view adapter, so this will extend from rem recycler view adapter, take a type of fruit, and then our view holder, our model is called, yes, fruit, and our view holder will be in the fruit adapter class. So fruit adapter adapter dot fruit view holder. So we've imported the class. Now we'll implement the necessary methods. Create a super constructor. Okay, so to create the super constructor, we're going to say public fruit adapter. We'll take in rem results, okay, of type fruit, call it fruit, and then we'll call the super keyword fruit, and passing the boolean not update of true. Okay, so public for our view holder, public fruit view holder on create view holder. Okay, now let's create our view holder class so that everything would work. So class fruit view holder, okay, extend recycler view dot view holder, second one there, okay. Then fruit view holder, passing the view argument, called the super keyword. Okay, everything is now taking shape. Now the next thing we want to do is on the create view holder, we want to return an instance. We want to inflate it. We want to inflate this. Okay, so we want to use this on the bind view holder, on the create view holder. So we create a new view, say view, and is equals to layout inflator dot from parent dot get context, okay, dot inflate. So what are we inflating? We're inflating this single fruit row. So r dot layout dot single underscore fruit underscore row, passing the parent argument and then passing false. And then the next thing we have to do, we now return and passing the view, passing the view as the argument. Oh, this should be small v. Okay, now that being said, the next thing we want to do, I'll just remove this. The next thing we want to do is on the bind view holder. Now this is being called for every row, all right, for every row. So what we want to do is we want to set the name, so the name of each row, and the image also, and also the price. So final fruits, okay, an object of fruit we call get item, and use the position parameter this to get what position we are in now. And then before we can continue, we have to bind, we have to use a butter knife to bind our views. Okay, so we're going to say at bind view fruit image first. Fruit image is a text view, and then we're going to just call that fruit image. So we have two text views and one image view. 1, 2, 3. Now if you don't understand where these IDs are being gotten from, we're getting it from our single underscore fruit row XML file. Okay, so we're trying to bind this to our adapter. So fruit image, next thing we need is fruit price. Okay, so we'll just call this fruit price, so we can use this to set up our bind view holder here. Okay, now this is an image view, I believe. So fruit img. Okay, this should be fruit name. Alright, then we now add our butter knife. So butter knife dot bind, I'm going to bind it to this and use the view as the second argument. Now that now makes it easier for us to be able to set the values here. We're still on creating the adapter, so we're going to say holder dot the name first, set text fruits dot get. So we're using the get method, get name. Okay, so that, and then we're going to need fruit image, fruit price. Okay, so we're going to get price, and then the next thing we're going to do is we want to use Picasso to load the image of each fruit. Okay, so Picasso.get.load. So where are we getting the URL from? We are getting it from holder.fruit price, fruits.get image. That will give us the URL fruits.get image, and then we're going to use the resize method to resize it, set it to a width of 150 and height of 150. We're going to center crop it, and then the last thing we're going to do is that we're going to load this image into, this is where I should have used holder dot fruit image. Okay, so now we have set up our adapter. The next thing we're going to have to do is to bind the details together and also load create the REM database. Okay, so in our activity file, the next thing we want to do, or the first thing we want to do in our activity file, is get the reference of the recycler view using butter knife injection. So if you didn't, you just put your mouse on your layout file, alt insert, generate butter knife injection, and then it is automatically, your recycler view is automatically injected. And then using rem, first we have to initialize rem. So rem.init, pass this context. We need a private rem variable or rem field if you permit. Okay, so we now want to say rem is equals to rem.get default instance. Now the next thing we want to do is to call a method that will, so I'll just call this fill up database. Now what this is going to read the details from the JSON file, okay, and then it's going to add that to our REM database. So create method. Now in order to do this, you have to execute a REM transaction. So rem.execute transaction, new transaction, and then in the execute method you want to use an input stream. So input stream, I'll call that input stream is equals to, so we have to get the resources from this folder. We use the method get resources dot open raw resource. So we want to open this folder, this fruit.json file, and I'm going to say get it on r dot raw dot name file fruit. Okay, then we're now going to say rem dot create all from JSON, which is very necessary. We're going to be putting it inside our fruit.class, and then we're going to be using our input stream. fruits, import the class. So we'll have to surround this with a try catch, and then if there is an error we have to cancel the transaction. So if rem that is transaction, I'm going to say rem dot, then we're going to say rem dot cancel transaction. Okay, now since we now have our database filled up, the next thing we want to do is, once we have it filled up here, we want to now begin a REM transaction in order for us to get all the REM objects from our database having our fruit class. So we're going to say final REM results, okay, REM results of fruit type, and then we'll call that result is equals to rem dot where. Okay, so this is highly important, fruit dot class dot find all. Okay, so now this will give us all the object in fruit that is in our REM database that is a fruit dot class object, and then store it in the variable name results. Okay, so once you begin a transaction you have to commit it. So rem dot commit transaction. Now once we commit the transaction, we now want to use this as an argument for our adapter. Okay, so we're going to set the layout manager for this. Dot set layout manager, and then we're going to create a new linear layout manager, passing this, make it a vertical linear manager, and then set the last value to false. So this sets the layout manager for the recycler view, so we want it displayed up to down. And then lastly we need to set, we're going to need to set an adapter. So in setting the adapter, dot set adapter new fruit adapter, and then we pass in our result as the argument. Okay, fruit new fruit adapter. Okay, so we have binded that. Now just before we do that, I want to say set has fixed size to true. Alright guys, so here we come to the end of our coding. The next screen you're going to be seeing is the application execution. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you understand how you can then create REM objects from a JSON file. So thank you for watching. Do have a lovely day and God bless.